Welcome, Summoners, to Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more commented games, follow my social media pages below. Okay, looks like we are in the picks and bans of Dragonborn versus Against All Authority. Twisted Fate immediately banned out, not wanting to see him being played. He's a very strong champion, and his ability to roam around in the mid-game is incredibly powerful. Xin Zhao also banned out, in addition to Elise and Draven. First time we've actually seen an AD carry banned out the entire tournament, I believe. I don't believe we've actually seen one. He's a good choice as his ability to snowball early game is incredibly powerful on Draven. Kha'Zix's banned out as well, in addition to the Olaf, which means Eve will be picked up by Dragonborn. And I do believe someone's a little happy about seeing that Eve pick up. That does leave Kayle open for Against All Authority, as we do see a Sona instant locked in. Interesting choice, Shen locked in. I surprised didn't go Kayle and Shen, as I do think Dragonborn is going to pick up Kayle right off the bat, giving them a very large amount of strong champions. Shen is a great champion against Eve, though, especially if Shen can get to quick level 6 and have his ultimate available to turn those Eve ganks around. Though Eve does scale incredibly well into late game, it looks like we are going to see Kayle and Ezreal picked up. Very safe picks. Kayle great in the jungle and mid lane, and Dragonborn is looking really strong this game with a very powerful lineup. I do think Kayle will likely be played in the jungle here with Eve in the mid lane, as I do see Kayle not going top lane. As Kayle versus Shen wins out that lane pretty big, considering he could just jump in there and apply a lot of pressure to Kayle, and Kayle is forced to run a lot of mana getting away. Also, Eve can't really go top, as she just doesn't have the roam ability from top. She needs to be able to roam around the map, and once she can start roaming around the map, she really starts to shine, and you just can't do that as well from top. But I think Against All Authority will have the ability to pick something against this lineup. It's not going to be easy, as they've given away several of the strongest champions that are usually banned out this tournament. But we will see what they're able to do. Looks like they are hovering around Karthus, and I think that would be a decent choice against Eve. And I'm not sure exactly what Against All Authority is going for. They go for Karthus and Ashe. Pretty potent combination. And they've got a lot of global ability there coming out from Against All Authority, as they do have the Karthus ultimate, Shen ultimate, Ashe arrow. So they can really punish people from a long way away. And I think they have to expect this lineup from Dragonborn, considering they did not ban it out and opted for Xin Zhao and Draven instead. Against All Authority was likely planning to see this lineup, the Eve and Kayle, considering how they banned. Unless they just really know something we don't, or just kind of forgot about those champions, though it's kind of hard considering they've been banned or picked in every single game. Looks like Amumu and Zyra could be coming up for Dragonborn, meaning that is going to be an incredibly powerful lineup, as Amumu and Zyra synergize so well, as their ultimate's going to overlap perfectly for a long continued chain of CC. In addition to that, it sets up Eve amazingly well, as she can easily set up a 4 or 5-man ultimate, granting her a very large shield and doing a significant amount of the health of an enemy. Kayle also will have her ultimate available in case Amumu gets in a little too deep. And it looks like Against All Authority does need a jungler or a top laner. Either one would be perfectly fine here. I'm not sure exactly who they want to pick. Cho'Gath would be a pretty good choice, as it should be able to do both. Give them a little bit more initiation, even though they do have a significant amount with the Sona, Ashe, and Shen already. But it also gives them another tanky body. I think they might go for a little bit of damage, as they don't have a ton of damage on their team already. Ashe doesn't have the highest damage in the game, nor does Shen or Sona, but Karthus has a lot. And it looks like it might be a Wukong. Wukong would be a great choice here. It could be played top, jungle, or even mid lane if they want to swap things around. And it will. And that's a lot of CC coming out with Against All Authority as well, as you do have the Wukong ultimate, Ashe ultimate, Karthus slow, Shen taunt, and Sona ultimate, meaning that they have 4 very potent CC combinations, with 3 of them being area of effect. And let's see what Against All Authority can do this game, as they gave away 3 champions that have been banned out in virtually every other game. And they have to be prepared for this. This is Dragonborn's game to lose at the picks and ban stage, considering the champions they got. And it looks like it will be Eve up top. Not sure how that's going to go, as we did see one top lane Eve do pretty poorly earlier in this tournament. I'm not sure how it's going to go, and I don't like the Eve decision to go top. You just don't get the ability to roam around the map as well as you do mid lane, unless you're just going to go pressure the jungler the entire time. And pressuring a Shen jungler isn't the easiest thing in the world, as it can easily jump a mile away and be perfectly safe. Looks like we are into the game, and I'm really curious to see what Against All Authority is able to do this time. They gave away so many just strong champions, and I'm probably going to mention that at least 5 or 6 more times. But I think they do have a plan, considering how they banned. If they banned differently, I might say they were just not thinking. But they banned specifically to allow those champions into the pool. As they banned out Olaf, Draven, Xin Zhao, which aren't real big threats in comparison to someone like a Kayle or an Eve. But we shall see, and that's why they play the game. Both sides looking to just set up defensively, as Dragonborn has thrown out several defensive wards. Defensive wards coming out from AAA as well. And we are going to see both sides just group up and roam around the mid lane and their sides of the jungle. Looks like we are going to see a lot of mobility coming out of Dragonborn side, as several characters have opted for boots, and they're starting with crystalline flasks as well. And it looks like the only team to get a real deep ward in was Dragonborn, as they got one onto the bush between the Wraiths and Baron. And it looks like we are going to see a lane swap, it appears, as Ashe and Sona will be top against Eve. Karthus will likely be bottom, as we will have Wukong in the mid lane. It's a pretty good lane swap if they can make it work. Question is that it looks like the AAA will be going for a blue buff steal with 4 of their members coming down. Looks like Amumu will be starting red buff, as Eve will be starting with the blue. The question is, will Eve see them in time? No, it looks like Against All Authority will be able to get in there and steal this blue buff with no real threat, as that ward was placed on it earlier in the game, as soon as they got into there to check. And with this down, Shen does start with blue buff, and Amumu will be denied his own blue, as we do see Sona and Ashe coming up top, looking to apply a lot of pressure to this Eve. And Sona's the champion that can shut down Eve pretty significantly. She outranges Eve, and every time Eve tries to come close, she's just not going to have the opportunity. It looks like Amumu will be taking the enemy blue buff, as Kayle and Zyra do come to help him out. And that will mean Amumu is in very good shape this game, as he takes a quick level 3 before some champions are even level 2. Karthus taking a whole lot of damage from Ezreal. Ezreal doing a great job of just poking him down, and it looks like we are going to have a gank from Amumu, likely under this tower. Amumu is level 3 and in great spot to kill this Karthus. Karthus is still only level 1. He will likely hit level 2 once the minions hit the tower, but I'm not sure that's going to be enough to save him, though he does have exhaust and flash available. As we do not see, it looks like Amumu does jump in. Karthus immediately flashes away. Great timing on him, as he would have been easily dead. And he is not doing a very good job of farming, though he is going to be slightly ahead of Eve in farm in just a moment, thanks to the fact that he can last hit from a longer distance than her. He does have a lot of potions as well. Looks like Shen is going to come up top and look to dive in on this Eve. A very good decision by Dragonborns, which is going to counteract the dive that's likely going to happen down bottom. Shen coming in, and it looks like Eve will be taunted, as they do so. Teleport coming in up top. Teleport will be burned by Kayle. Kayle not in great shape, but not a lot of tower damage taken by the Against All Authority side of things, as Shen didn't actually take a single tower shot. He taunted away, walked forward, and just didn't get hit, as he's still at full health. And that burns Kayle's teleport, and it means Amumu's going to be forced top. Pretty decent trade overall, which should free Karthus up a bit down bottom, even though he is not in very good shape. Looks like we are going to check out the wards of the map, as the ward from Dragonborn does fade near the red buff. Zyra looking to roam around and apply some pressure to this Wukong. As if Wukong does jump in, Zyra will have a good chance to root him. And he does get rooted, but he does jump away at the last second with the flash. Shen in the area as well to prevent them from trying to tower dive. And it looks like Dragonborn will look to push this mid tower. Though with Shen in the area, he can prevent them from doing so, as he can get a taunt off and force the tower to attack someone like Amumu or Zyra at the beginning of the game. Looks like Zyra will take... Oh no, she will not take a tower shot. She was close to, as Shen did draw aggro, and it looks like Karthus is going to be fighting against Ezreal, but Ezreal has a big advantage here, As if he gets in any real danger, you can just arcane shift away and be perfectly safe. Looks like Eve has backed up and picked up a Duran shield, meaning she's looking to just sustain in this lane up top, as the Duran shield will prevent a lot of damage from the support. Karthus doing just a fine job farming down bottom. And it looks like he's going to come out ahead in this lane swap, though Ezreal's way ahead of Ashe, which is kind of surprising, considering Ashe has basically had free farm this entire time. It looks like Ashe Sona will have this tower down before Ezreal alone has that bottom tower, though Zyra has applied good pressure along the map. I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Amumu is coming up top and will be spotted out by a beautifully placed ward near the tower, and it looks like Ashe and Sona I don't think are going to care too much about it, as they can clearly free farm as much as they want. Wukong taking some good damage in the mid lane, though he is out leveling Kayle just slightly thanks to Zyra and Amumu running into his lane. We are going to have Ezreal try and push this tower down as Shen just continues to protect lanes and not really farm his jungle. He doesn't really need to at this point, as he's done a lot to really help his team out, and he's done a good job of just soaking experience. Looks like Karthus is going to be roaming mid lane, as we do see Wukong. I'm not sure where he's going to go. He might go down bottom, or just continue to roam, or just start roaming around the map. He is about to pick up a Brutalizer, as we do see Against All Authority looking to push down this top tower. And with Eve not in a very good wave clear until she hits higher levels, this top tower will fall, meaning the first tower of the game goes to Against All Authority. Well played with a lane swap. A very good lane swap, and one of the first that's actually worked out this tournament, as usually the bottom lane managed to get an advantage, and the top lane falls apart for whoever lane swaps. And that tower is basically the only difference in the game, as it looks like Karthus is just going to roam around the map and head up top, looking to zone out Eve for a good bit. Wukong will go down here for first blood. No, he managed to dodge Kayle, but Zyra does pick up the kill in the back end. Almost got away with that Wukong, but Dragonborns will basically even out the game thanks to that first blood. And basically running a 2v1 lane mid with Zyra down there is a pretty good option for them, and they use it to good effect. And it looks like Shen will be in the area to taunt Ezreal. It means Ezreal will be forced to arcane shift away. He was not slowed, but he's taking a whole lot of damage. Karthus ult's going to come out. Ashe does flash forward. Barrier comes out on Ezreal. Will Shen get another taunt off? No, he does not, as the barrier was just enough to protect him thanks to the early levels and the solo experience down bottom. But with that, Ashe is going to be in a pretty good spot to fight down bottom. Sona doing a good bit of damage to Zyra. Both of them really just trading farm here, as Shen is in the area should something happen, and it looks like Kayle will be in the area to protect Zyra. Though Shen might try and jump over the Drip Baron pit, no, Zyra decides to take the long way around, a very smart decision that likely saved her life. And it looks like Dragon will be the objective here for Against All Authority, as Shen can easily tank that up for as long as he wants. Ezreal is not in the area, and Amumu is back pretty far at this point in time. And it looks like they will be able to get that pretty clean, as Kayle does come in here, but not in time to stop him. And Against All Authority doing a great job this game of taking map objectives. They managed to get the early tower top. They secure a dragon for themselves. Even though they have not picked up a kill yet, this kill score is only 1-0. And it looks like they have basically evened out the farm on most of the lanes, though Ashe is down a little bit. Looks like Sona's in a bit of trouble, but Sona is just fine, as she is a level higher than Zyra. And if Zyra were at one more level, she might have been able to do enough damage, as her plants do scale fairly well off both levels and ability power. And it looks like we are going to have another little engagement mid lane, as Amumu is spotted out though. So Wukong will be fairly safe. And with Karthus up top, he will not be able to pick up the blue buff, though Eve is looking to rotate in and pick up the red buff of Against All Authority, or likely gank. And it looks like she's going to try and gank, though Wukong will be able to steal this blue buff and roam around to this bottom lane. Shen now has hit 6. And Against All Authority is doing a great job of counteracting the very strong champions of Dragonborn. But can they keep this up, as Ezreal has picked up a BF sword, and it looks like Dragonborn is looking to steal this red buff. I do believe they were spotted out, and they are going to see an engagement. No, we aren't, as Karthus is still in the area, just scouting things out and seeing exactly who's there, though the entire team from Against All Authority is roaming through the mid lane. Ashe arrow could fly at any point in time, and will it? It looks like it has flown, and it does hit Eve, as she is spotted out. Karthus running in there. Shen, beautiful taunt. Amumu with the ultimate, as the Wukong ultimate does fly. Karthus getting very low, but the Shen ultimate is there to keep him alive. And this engagement is going very well for Dragonborn, as they have not lost anyone yet. And not losing anyone in that engagement is very good for them and a great sign of things to come. As they get the better of it, as Karthus was taken very low, though the rest of the Dragonborn team was forced to rotate mid. And not losing anyone when they blow that many ultimates is a very good sign that you're going to have a good late game. The only ultimate that wasn't available was the Sona ultimate, which might have made a big difference, but we won't be able to find that out. And it looks like we are going to just go back to farming for a bit, as Karthus is going to rotate down bottom. We're going to have Ashe, Sona stay in the mid lane. Shen's going to go back to the jungle with Wukong up top to try and beat down Eve, as Eve will likely rotate lanes. I don't think she wants to stay up top against Wukong. Wukong has the ability to just jump in and burst her down. Both Eve and Karthus have recovered from that lane swap. Eve recovering slightly better than Karthus, as she is up significantly in terms of CS. Ashe down significantly to Ezreal, and in terms of CS, it's not working out well for Against All Authority. But the ability to grab that early tower and the dragon meant that the lane swap was incredibly worth it for them. Looks like Amumu is down bottom as Eve rotates back up top. I thought she would try and go down bottom to contend with Karthus instead of fighting Wukong, but apparently she wants to deal with Wukong, and I'm not sure that's a good fight for Eve, as Wukong's ability to jump in on her and burst her down is pretty high. Looks like Ashe will be in a lot of trouble as she does pop cleanse, and the Ashe arrow does land, but not in tower range, as Sona and Shen do come in here. And a very good cleanse by Ashe. She would die, and it looks like just enough heal from Sona to keep her alive through the true shot barrage of Ezreal. Amumu is coming in looking to throw a bandage toss out, but Ashe is already gone. Shen and Sona are still in the area, and with Sona ultimate up and Shen taunt up, I don't think they really want to fight this on the Dragonborn side of things, but it looks like they are just going to back up, as Karthus won't be able to get a good ultimate off. Though Sona is in a bit of trouble, just some harassment by Zyra, and it looks like we are going to see it. Dragonborn just continue to push this mid lane. Karthus duking it out with Ezreal, as Ezreal's getting the better of him, as those lay wastes are very hard to hit when someone's moving like that. Looks like Karthus ultimate does fly, and it does pick off Amumu, as the Kayle ultimate wore off just as the Karthus ultimate finished. Karthus likely to go down here in the bottom lane, as Eve takes a whole lot of damage. But that will mean the bottom tower is very open and available, as we do see the Against All Authority team going to be able to push down this mid turret, as Kayle is not in fighting shape, nor is Zyra, especially with Wukong able to jump in there and pop his own ultimate. Hawkshot does fly from Ashe, scouting things out, and that means this will be a free turret for Against All Authority, being traded for the bottom turret. And it looks like we are going to see both of them go down. No way to really stop Ezreal at this point in time. And wise decision by Against All Authority to just back up. Pretty decent trade, as they will also get the blue steal off the back end, with Wukong just picking it up and doing a very good job of rotating around the map. Looks like he is going to just pick up this entire top lane worth of minions, as we do see Karthus going for the early Rod of Ages in addition to the Duran's Ring. Spell penetration build coming up on Eve after having to go for that early Duran shield. Kayle picking up likely a Lich Bane in addition to going for the all attack power build instead of the attack speed build, which is usually more common. And it looks like we are going to see a Bloodthirster coming out on both of the attack damage carries. Though Ashe could go for something like an Infinity Edge if she really wants to. Wukong has finished his Brutalizer and about to complete a Black Cleaver, and is looking to jump on and apply a lot of pressure to Eve. Though Eve is ahead of Wukong pretty significantly at this point. Eve has recovered incredibly well and is the second highest farmer on the map from that 2v1 situation, and has done a very good job. And despite the early dragon and extra tower, Dragonborn is farming significantly better than Against All Authority here. And that doesn't bode well for Against All Authority's late game, as I do think Dragonborn has a significant advantage there. Looks like Eve is going to jump in onto Karthus, but Eve is exhausted right away, and Karthus will be perfectly fine. Though exhaust for just Eve running in there is a pretty good trade. Dragon has respawned, and it will be a point of contention in just a moment, as Shen is going to push out this top lane, then uses ultimate to get down bottom. It will be spotted out by the Against All Authority side, as there is a pink ward sitting right dead smack in the middle, and there is not a pink ward on the on the Dragonborn side. As Zyra does get fairly low, blue buff is stolen. Karthus is getting very low, but the Shen ultimate does come in, and Karthus will go down. Shen does not get the teleport. Wukong ultimate does fly, and Wukong will pick up a double kill, picking up Amumu in addition to Ezreal, and that is a pretty big win for the Dragonborn side, picking up an extra kill. and the dragon. They will likely pick up the top turret off of this as well, as Shen just didn't get in the fight. If Shen got into that fight, he would have been able to turn that fight around for Against All Authority. But Dragonborn did the perfect thing. They killed the person with the Shen ultimate, and then Shen didn't get into the fight. Shen still gets a good bit of farm split pushing, but that's not what you want to see. And the gold lead has shifted in Dragonborn's favor, thanks to just a beautiful play there, killing Karthus the second he got the Shen ultimate on. Looks like we are going to have Ezreal going for the Iceborne Gauntlet next, as he has picked up Bloodthirster already. We are going to have Amumu going for a Sunfire Cape. A bit of ability power coming up onto Zyra. She has picked up Kali's lucky pick. Could turn that into something like a Shard of True Ice. I think would be the correct decision here, just to give her team a little bit more kiting power. Karthus has completed his Rod of Ages. Shen going for a Warmongs. As we do see Wukong about to complete that Black Cleaver. Not sure what exactly Ashe is going to build. She has a lot of options here with just the BF Sword and Vampiric Scepter. Looks like Sona has completed just the Ruby Sightstone and likely going for a Philosopher's Stone next. Could go for something else, but I'm not going to think that's the option. Looks like we are going to see a Last Whisper coming out onto Wukong after he completes that Black Cleaver, as Ashe does come up top and looks to just farm out this top wave. And the later this goes, the more it favors Dragonborn, considering Kayle and Eve scale ridiculously well into late game, especially compared to some of the champions Against All Authority, where they scale well, but just not that well. As we do see champions like Wukong, Karthus, and Shen just not scaling incredibly well into late game, other than the fact they get really tanky on Shen and Wukong. And Karthus, while he does scale very well, he just doesn't have the ability to survive unless he just gets that Zhonya's Hourglass, which I'm not sure he's going to get anytime soon, as he needs damage for his team. Ashe Arrow does fly and hit Zyra, and that will be a dead Zyra. Don't think she's escaping that, as she does take a whole lot of damage. She does throw out the ultimate in time, and the Kayle ultimate will save her. Karthus could back up and throw out his own ultimate, but Amumu with a perfect bandage toss onto Karthus means Karthus will go down. Ultimate from Sona lands on 2. Wukong ultimate going to fly, but Wukong is taken down. Ultimate from Karthus does land, and it means Kayle is in a whole lot of trouble. Amumu does go down, trading 2 for 2. A pretty valiant effort as Eve does come in, having completed a Deathfire Grasp, but Eve not going to do enough damage as the Shen taunt comes through, and Eve is just being kited around. But Ezreal does come back into the fight, and a big win by Dragonborn, as they just re-engaged into the fight on the back of Eve, and she carried that team fight. They got Zyra very low with a nice Ashe ultimate, but Against All Authority just does not have the damage to finish anyone off, as they burn most of their burst damage onto the Zyra, who got hit by the Kayle ultimate. And Dragonborn is looking to snowball this into a very powerful late game, as they are just taking every inch that they've been given and really turning it into a big advantage. And Against All Authority really has to put something together here, as they've given away several incredibly powerful champions and just have not capitalized on the fact that they have a pretty good early game lineup. And even they have a solid mid game, but I don't think their late game stands any chance to Dragonborn. And we are going to see the Iceborne Gauntlet very soon up onto Ezreal's, Lichbane, and Deathcap are soon to be completed by Kayle. Deathfire Grasp up onto Eve, as we see Warmongs completed by Shen. And I think Against All Authority is going to have to play keep away at this point. Let Shen split push and try and engage 4v4 with Shen coming in with a shield at the last second. Though I don't know how well that's going to work, as they tried that earlier at the dragon fight and just didn't then someone just didn't survive. As soon as Shen throws his ultimate on, Eve could just burst them down with her ultimate and Deathfire Grasp, so that they don't have a chance to really do anything. Ashe Hawkshot does fly, and it does spot out Amumu and Kayle, but it does not see Eve. So they might continue to push still. But considering their spot out, they might decide to back up as well. And it looks like we are going to see a slight engagement as Deathfire Grasp does come on Ashe. Ashe does flash away, and she should be just fine, but flash burned on Ashe for virtually nothing is a pretty good trade for Dragonborn, as we are going to see Ezreal ultimate fly through. Just scouting things out. No one was anywhere close to low. And we are going to see both teams just continue to farm it out for a good bit at this point in time. Neither team really wanting to take a bad engagement here and throw the game away. Looks like we are going to have Karthus picking up his first blue buff of the game. And he really needs that blue buff if he wants to snowball into late games. He just needs to farm, and try and outmatch Ezreal and Eve, as they are both farming monsters. But I don't think he's going to be able to, as Ashe tries to defend this top tower, but wisely decides to back up. She thought about it, but then said no chance. And we do see Dragonborn just going to continue to pressure that top lane, and as they see Wukong down bottom, they really don't need to back up. Hawkshot does fly from Ashe, which means they will see where everything's going. They also walk across the ward, and it looks like they're just going to go rotate down bottom, push out the mid lane, then go to Dragon. A very safe decision, and Dragonborn can play it safe here. Their late game is better, and their team fight is better, unless they just get picked off. We do see Wukong building up into the last Whisper. Ashe has completed that Infinity Edge, and is basically going to have to go all damage here if she wants to contend to fight. And it looks like we're going to have Against All Authority try something as Amumu does flash bandage toss. And Karthus is going to get very low. Shen ultimate does come in, but Shen does not teleport yet again. And that means this fight is not going to go very well for Against All Authority, as they really need the Shen taunt to do anything. And that's really cost them several times. It was exactly what happened, what they thought it was going to happen. They threw the ultimate onto Karthus. Eve blew her entire combo on him, and he went down before the Shen arrived. If Shen arrived, he could have gotten a taunt off on 2, possibly 3 people, and it would have been a great fight for Against All Authority. But instead, they trade Karthus for Amumu. Not a very good trade, not a terrible trade, but they lost Dragon as well. And Against All Authority is really looking for answers, and I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do. We see Dragonborn pinging Baron pretty hard, as Wukong and Sona are in the area. Sona does not have her ultimate, but Ezreal is just going to walk right into it and take a whole lot of damage. Shen could taunt, but Ezreal just flashes over the wall. And they had an opportunity to kill him there, but Shen just wasn't in the area to get the taunt off. Though I do believe Ezreal would have gotten away, even if Shen had taunted, as he did decide to burn Flash and had it available for that little scrimmage. It does mean Ezreal's Flash is down, so he can't use it in the next fight. His barrier is also down, though his barrier does come up fairly quickly and will be available for the next team fight. Looks like we are going to see Amumu pushing this mid lane with a little bit of Zyra backup. Shen is going to be taking the red buff, looking to just do as much damage as he can with that newly completed Warmonks. Haunting Guise up onto Karthus, and he might complete a Liadri's Torment next, as that would be a pretty good choice on him, but would give him a lot of poke. Looks like Shen is going to be fighting Eve up top, Kayle right behind him, but he is able to just Shadow Dash away. Karthus is going to check Baron with his wall, but no such luck finding anyone there, as Dragonborn has pinked it up. Ashe arrow does fly, but it misses Ezreal. Not sure they had the damage to really kill him at that point. His Sona ultimate was down. And Against All Authority is just not working this team comp too well. They've had some opportunities, but they've just not had the damage or tank ability to really capitalize on them. It looks like we are going to have Last Whisper soon to be built onto Ezreal. In addition to Sunfire Cape, Lance Shirley's Reverie up on Amumu in just a moment. Deathcap completed onto Kayle, as we do see Eve likely going to go for either Rise, Crystal Scepter, or Warmonks. Both very good choices this game, as we do have a Static Shiv soon to be completed up onto Ashe. And we are going to see both teams just farming it out for a bit. Neither team really wants to get into a team fight. Against All Authority needs to team fight, especially if they can get Shen to level 11, and he is level 12 now, so his ultimate's going to be a little bit stronger, and hopefully can keep Karthus alive for those few extra seconds. The problem is he is such an incredibly vulnerable target, as he doesn't have the defensive stats to really back up his running into the middle of a team fight. They almost have to throw the ultimate on someone else, or chain the ultimate with something like a Sona ultimate. As it looks like we are going to see Dragonborn pushing in for Baron. With no wards here on the Baron for Against All Authority, they will have to check it with their abilities, though it is perfectly fine to do so, as we do see Zyra running with that Oracles. Looks like we are going to have Dragonborn just back up. They had an opportunity to do Baron, but they decided against it. Shen is down bottom and has his ultimate available. He could come into a team fight, but that has not been very successful for the Against All Authority side of things, as Eve has wisely waited to use a burst combo as soon as Shen threw the ultimate, just to make sure the target gets destroyed pretty quickly. We are going to see Wukong finishing off that Black Cleaver, and that might be the item that can turn these team fights around if they can shred the armor fast enough. Looks like Kayle and Amumu are going to duo this Baron, with Ezreal and Zyra coming back in, but Hawkshot will scout it out. And this might be Against All Authority's opportunity, as Amumu is very low. Ashe arrow does fly, but hits no one. Wukong in the area and will get his ultimate off. Kayle is forced to burn her ultimate on herself as Zyra does go down. And Shen ultimate is actually used to full effect this time. Wukong with a double kill, though Eve does come in the backside, and Eve will be exhausted. Exactly what Against All Authority side needed, and Eve will be forced to flash away. 3 down, 4 none, and that's a perfect fight for Against All Authority. They did actually lose Sona in that fight by mistake, but just losing Sona is no real big deal. Ashe is going to be able to chase Ezreal a good bit as Wukong does jump in on Eve, and Wukong will get ignited, but no death as Karthus ultimate does fly. Shen with a flash shadow taunt, but the barrier is just too much as Eve does re-enter the fight. Shen not in great shape as he does have the ability to taunt away in a few moments, but Ezreal just doing a great job of poking, and Ezreal is just way too strong at this point in time. He does finish off Ashe, and now Wukong and Against All Authority just stayed a little too long, and if they backed up after kicking those 3 kills, they might have had a good opportunity to defend this Baron. But considering they don't have 2 of their strongest members up, and Shen is in even worse shape, they aren't going to be able to defend anything at this point. Karthus and Sona can wave clear for a little bit, but it's not going to be enough, as we do see Karthus getting fairly low, and Ezreal will not take him out. The ultimate did fly across him, but it will be a free tower for Dragonborn, and another free tower up top, meaning the tower score will be 5-2 after this middle one falls, as it's ready to fall at this point, as Ezreal does jump in and is finished off by Eve. Dragonborn just using that gold advantage to great effect. In addition to that, they've really capitalized on the mistakes of Against All Authority. Dragonborns had a great draft this game, and Against All Authority just made a few too many mistakes and let this game really get out of hand. They've stayed in fights too long, they haven't gotten great Shen ultimates, and it's really just snowballed into the Dragonborns' lead. And it's really been a good job, and this is why Ezreal is such a strong champion as well, because he has the ability to just stay in these fights the entire time. Ashe arrow does fly, it does hit Eve, but I don't think they saw it, though Shen will be able in the area. He is not going to do anything as the Iceborne Gauntlet of Ezreal keeps him at bay. Looks like we are going to have Ashe just clearing out this bottom wave, and she should have her static saved fairly soon. Looks like Karthus is going to be picking up a Blasting Wand, likely into a Death Cap here, as he really needs more damage. Against All Authority side has just not had the damage in these team fights, as they've just been a little bit behind the entire time. Looks like we are going to have the Lich Bane completed up on Kayle. Riley's Crystal Scepter finished up onto Eve, and Eve is really looking to capitalize on these team fights. She's done a great job so far of coming in late and just applying a lot of damage. Looks like we do have Ezreal jumping over Dragon Pit, but it will be Against All Authority stealing it away. The question is, can they get away in time? And it looks like they will. Shen, the ultimate is available as Amumu might try and steal things away. But no, Amumu doesn't get the opportunity to cut them off as the Hawkshot does fly and scouts them all out. Looks like we are going to see Dragonborn running over to Baron just to ward it up and clear all the wards as well. We do have a Chalice built up onto Sona, as we do have a Haunting Guise finished up on Zyra, likely the Eldritch Torment fairly soon. And we are going to see an Infinity Edge coming out onto Ezreal next, as he has completed that last Whisper. Not sure what Amumu is going to be building with that Giant's Belt. Could be multiple things, likely going to be a Randuin's Omen at this point. It would be a very good decision considering the amount of physical damage auto attackers on the Against All Authority side. And that Cloth Armor does signify that that's what he's looking for, unless he wants to build something like a Runic Bulwark, which would also be a very good choice here. Looks like Karthus is going for the Death Cap and should have that up in fairly soon. And that might be the item that can turn this around for Against All Authority, is it's only a 4,000, 5,000 gold lead. Somewhere in that range at the 30-minute mark. It's not big, As it looks like Amumu is going to banish toss in onto Shen, and Shen's the only one to be hit, but 3 are hit by the ultimate of Amumu. Wukong just rotating around that fight, but he is going to go down as Shen ultimate does fly. Big ultimate by Sona hits 4, and the question is how much damage will this ultimate do? And it does a good bit, but only picks up 1 kill, as we do see the entire team of Against All Authority going down. And if Karthus had just another item, he would have been able to pick off Kayle and Zyra, but he didn't. And this means it will be an inhibitor going down, or Baron, depending upon which Dragonborn decide to do. I don't think they have the health for Baron at this point in time, but they will be able to snag an inhibitor. Likely going to pick up another tower on the top of it, as they can easily rotate down bottom and pick up that tower. Look, Ezreal is looking like he wants to try and end the game, but I don't think they have enough time, as Wukong, Shen, and Karthus are going to be up within 10 seconds. And Against All Authority has the opportunity here to just go push Baron, as they will all respawn with full health. Eve still has a few seconds on her before she respawns, and Ezreal is not going to have the mana to fight at Baron very well. But it looks like they are going to be rushing that area, and I don't think they're going to actually go for it. They had an opportunity to do so if they all immediately rushed over, but they instead decided to push out all their lanes and try and go for another team fight. And the big difference in this game is look how far ahead Ezreal is. He's up to almost 3,000 gold on every single one else in the game. And Karthus has been the only real saving grace in terms of farm for the Against All Authority side, as no one else has really gotten the farm they need to win these team fights. As Ashe just hasn't been able to pick up kills. She's gotten a lot of assists. And Wukong just hasn't gotten the actual minion kills, as he is down pretty significantly compared to the high farmers on Dragonborn. Looks like Against All Authority is looking to push down mid, but I'm not sure that's the wisest decision unless they can get a pick off with the Ashe arrow, and they really need to wait till Karthus and Shen ultimates are up, as that's going to be their only real opportunity to engage, is once those things are available. As they had a pretty close fight last time. They got 4 of the 5 members of Dragonborn very low, but it just was not enough. And if Against All Authority can make a good catch out at Baron, it will be they will have a good shot of taking this game back from Dragonborn. But it looks like Dragonborn isn't even going to go for Baron at this point. I think they should just rotate down bottom. It looks like that will be the plan. Rotate down bottom, push up that bottom wave, and go grab the last outer tower on the map. Towers are 6-2, with the only 2 towers for Against All Authority being the first 2 towers of the game. As it looks like we are going to see Kayle running over and taking this blue buff, with the entire Dragonborn side rotating down bottom. Going to grab this last outer tower, likely try for a pick off near the blue buff, or behind this tower if someone tries to defend it. But Against All Authority is wisely staying back and not wanting to defend this tower. No chance of them to actually take a good fight as Amumu just throw a banish toss out. Eve runs in, but takes a good bit of damage for her efforts. And it looks like Dragonborn will just back up. They can take whatever they want on the map at this point in time. They are in a pretty good lead at this point. And the big thing here is their AD carry is miles ahead of the other one. This Ezreal is 9-1-8. Ridiculously farm, sitting at 293 minions. About 50 minions ahead of anyone else on the map. And the Ashe arrow does fly. It does hit Kayle, as Kayle will be knocked up, but she does get the ultimate on herself. Karthus going low, as we do see Ashe getting hit. Nice Sona ultimate, hits 3, but it is not enough. Karthus ultimate will go flying in just a moment, as it will be able to pick off at least 1. And it does pick up a triple kill. The problem is Ezreal is still alive, and Ezreal will be taunted under tower as Eve runs in. Eve does try to get this kill onto Shen, but she will be taken very low by the tower. And Ezreal will finish off the kill for a triple kill. And that's just Dragonborn being a little bit ahead in terms of gold, and that will be good game, as there is still 30 seconds on most people of the Against All Authority side. And that just came down to Dragonborn getting some real good picks, and Against All Authority screwing up 1 or 2 team fights by not allowing Shen to maximize his ultimate and actually enter the fight. If he had entered those 1 or 2 fights in the mid-game, Against All Authority could have easily taken this from Dragonborn. And I think in game number 2, we're going to see slightly different bans coming out of Against All Authority, and they will have a very good shot to take this.
Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. For more commented games, please visit my YouTube and stream channels.